All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all of you out there in internet land. My name is Arya Zarenkalk, and in collaboration with City College of San Francisco and the Strong Workforce Program, I welcome all of you to this first semester's Workforce Wednesday, and it's going to be on Pitch Essentials. As mentioned earlier, my name is Arya Zarenkalk, and I am an Employment Training Specialist 3 for Arts, Media, Entertainment. And so that means I have the honor and privilege of working with fashion, photography, cinema, visual media design, and broadcast electronic media art students to helping them level up as they deem fit in their careers, which in essence is usually either internships, job placements, or higher education. And I'm really grateful to be here talking to y'all today a little bit about how to answer the question, tell me about yourself. Before we get started, I want to just kind of share some expectations with y'all. Number one, Zoom fatigue is real. So if at any point in this conversation you need to take a break, please do so. You got to bake the bread, pet the cat, do some push-ups, go to the bathroom, drink some water, take care of yourself. That's the number one priority. Number two is I would absolutely love for this to be a conversation and not so much of a monologue. So if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand virtually or on video. And then I will say in regards to questions, a lot of times when we start asking questions and these types of things, and we say words like, one time when I had this happen to me, I felt this way, and everyone stopped paying attention. So if you can figure out a way to frame your question in a way that the entire audience can understand it, that would be really helpful because most of the time people have the same types of questions. And other than that, I just hope that y'all have some fun and you learn some things today. So I would love to know a little bit more about y'all in the studio audience. So if you could please, we're going to just start by introducing ourselves. And I would love to know your name. If you have a job goal, what your job goal is, what you're hoping to get out of this conversation today, and your astrological sign. So again, your name, job goal, if you have one, what you want to get out of this conversation, and astrological sign. Okay? So I will start. My name is Arya, and it is my job goal to be happy and free and at peace when I get older. And what I would like to get out of this workshop, it's my intention manifestation, is to share with y'all the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding about career stuff that has been passed down to me by elders in this space. And I am a Leo rising, Capricorn sun, and Taurus moon. So that's me. All right, I would like to now pass the microphone over to Grace. Grace, please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Grace Willingham. My job goal is to have an impact environmental area with photography. What I'd like to get from this session today is an idea of how I can create a pitch that would entice an internship to call me back. And my astrological sign is Gemini.
Wonderful. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to pass the microphone over now to Rachel. Rachel, please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Grace, I'm a fellow Gemini. I am studying fashion, but it's actually my third career. I'm a very mature student. So I'm looking for a job that gives me some sense of personal satisfaction. I've in the last couple of years, I've given my life over to my family. So I'm looking to be a tiny bit selfish and want to be useful to a fashion business as well as be stimulated. And out of this conversation, I want to be able to come across to people like I'm not bragging, but very secure in my abilities, That's what I would like. Thank you.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. I'd like to pass the microphone now over to Allie. Allie, please unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm a Leo as well. I'm studying fashion. Not sure which route I want to take in the business, but I know for my future job goal, I kind of want to be my own boss. And then I'm taking this workshop just because it's been a while since I've interviewed for internships or jobs in general. So I want to get back into that routine of just like thinking of questions, thinking about how to answer them, but also making myself seem genuine. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Allie. And last and most certainly not least, Elizabeth, please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, and my job goal is to be able to sell myself during interviews and not come off nervous, and to eventually get a job for the city or in nonprofit. And I'm a Cancer with a Leo sun and a Taurus moon.
Oh, Taurus moon. What's up? What's up? Love that. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate all of you sharing that. Workforce Wednesday, Pitch Essentials, engages now. Okay, y'all. So everything we're going to be talking about today, I'm going to send you in a follow-up email, including this infographic. I've also dropped the infographic in the chat right now, if it's easier for you for whatever reason to open it up on your own computer. So know that you can take notes if taking notes is of service to you. Or you can just relax and listen, because you're going to get all this content along with a recording of a pitch workshop later. So I just want you to be at ease so you can hear deeply. All right. So by a show of either virtual hands or video hands, how many of y'all have ever been asked this question? Tell me about yourself.
I have, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And
Sorry, I'm old, so I've no idea how to do the hand up thing, but yes.
that's okay.
Hand up.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel. And Allie. Okay, awesome. So everybody, in essence, has done that, has had this experience. And usually it shows up in one of two places. It's going to show up either in a job interview, or it's going to show up in a networking situation. And in both, people want to hear your pitch. And I want y'all to think about your pitch as if it's a 60, 75, 90-second commercial, right? And it has two parts. It has a business section in front and a party section in back. And for those of you who may or may not know, when we say business in front, party in the back here in the West, we're referring to this very interesting haircut known as the mullet. And so the mullet is the analogy or the metaphor I invite y'all to try to remember when you're trying to answer this question, tell me about yourself. Because again, business in front, party in the back. The business section is short, sweet, and to the point. It's very direct. It is literally your name, what you are, which is your job goal, and any tools you might use doing the work that you do. Any tools you might use. So it might sound something like this. Hi, my name is Aria. Name. I am an arts-focused career person. It's my job. And I use tools such as active listening, mindfulness, and data analysis to do this work. So these are the tools I use. So the business section, again, is simply your name, what you are, your job goal, and any tools you might use, right? Very simple, very direct, very to the point. Does anybody have any questions about the business section? Yes, Allie.
So how do you kind of go about it without sounding too like robotic? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, every time we're in an interview and every time we're networking, there's a little bit of a performance element to it, right? So I think it's going to be okay for you to be performative. I think for you for it not to be robotic is for you to practice, right? And practice being able to say it off the cuff without having to think about it too much. I'm speaking intentionally slowly for the sake of repetition and integration, right? If I were to say it normally, I would say, "Hi, my name is Arya, and I'm an arts-focused career person. I use tools such as active listening, mindfulness, and data analysis to do this work." Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you. I just because knowing myself, like if I use this, I feel like I'm gonna get in my head and just become like robotic or repetitive. But that makes sense. Thank you.
Absolutely. Just relax and practice, and it'll show up. It'll show up. The body is very powerful in that way. So that's the business section. Now, the party section, its entire intention is to build empathy with the listener. To build empathy with the listener. And we do this by talking a little bit about our past, a little bit about our present, and a little bit about our future. And then we end with gratitude. The past section is the most important part of your pitch. This is where you're going to spend the majority of your time talking about what moment led you to this path. What moment or series of moments put you on this path to doing this work, right? One way to think about this is imagine you are a superhero, which Allie, Rachel, Grace, Elizabeth, y'all are a bunch of superheroes, remember. And every superhero has an origin story, right? Wonder Woman, raised by Amazonians in South America. Storm from X-Men, raised by shamans in Africa. Spider-Man and the radioactive spider. Superman being born on Krypton, right? They all have an origin story. And so when we share our origin story with listeners, it reminds them of their origin story. And thus a rapport starts being built. So an example of that, let me share with you my origin story. I got started on this path when growing up, I'll never forget being 7 years old. It's 1989. I'm in my mom's blue Honda hatchback. And all of a sudden, Michael Jackson's Beat It comes on the radio, 102.7 Kiss FM. And I start feeling this like really wonderful energy and lightness in my body. And I start moving and wiggling around all in the front seat. And of course, my mom is driving. She kind of turns around and freaks out a little bit. And she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know. I love this song. This feels so good." And then in that moment, I knew I wanted to do something related to creativity. That, coupled with the fact that my parents are refugees from Iran, also made me want to do something of service and be of service to others. These things, on top of the fact that it took me a whole year to find my first job after grad school, put me on this path to do this work, and this empathy for people who are looking for work powers me. So you can see I took some time and I gave you some details, right? I was 7, 1989, blue Honda Civic hatchback, sitting in the front seat. Michael Jackson's Beat It comes on. I start feeling this wonderful energy. My mom starts getting concerned about what's happening because she's driving, trying to keep us safe. And then I tell you a little bit more about how that really inspired me to want to do something related to creativity. And then I talk to you a little bit about how my parents were refugees from Iran, which then made me want to do something related to service. And then I closed it with talking about how it took me over a year to find my first job. These details paint a very, I hope that these details that I gave you painted a very vivid picture in your minds about my origin story. And so you don't have to have a clear knowledge or understanding of what your origin story is, how you got started on this path. I'm just planting a seed now for you to think about it, because later on, it will reveal itself to you. Out of curiosity, is there anyone in the studio audience who already knows what moment or series of moments put them on this path to do this work and would be willing to take a positive risk and share?
I can, I guess.
Yeah. Let's give it up for Elizabeth.
Um,
Woo! Elizabeth.
So I worked for a local property development company in San Francisco. And while working there, I was focused on the development side, submitting plans to DBI and pulling permits and working with inspectors. And when when my boss started a project that would affect the community and have to relocate, or basically people that have been living in that building would have to leave and they're older, that's when I wanted to get on the other side. That's when I realized I want to work in nonprofit. I don't want to work in property development anymore. And that was my moment. I know I need to work on that and pitch that better. But that was my moment.
Awesome, Elizabeth. Let's give it up for Elizabeth for taking a positive risk and sharing her origin story with us. Excellent, excellent. So, Elizabeth, you should know that's a perfectly great story. And maybe we could zhuzh it up a little bit by telling us, things like, how old were you? And then how did it feel when you first found out that the development company is going to be ousting all these, which if I understood your story correctly, senior citizens, right?
Yes, senior citizens, people that are not, they don't have a status in this country, but been
Oh,
living
wow.
there for so long. Yeah, so I was 25. Yeah, I'm 32 now, so 25. And I was at that company for 6 years. At the time working there, I was just on the office assistant side, but it wasn't until I started working on the property development side that I realized, like, oh, I started going to hearings at City Hall, and I started seeing the amount of people against his projects. And at first, I was just doing my job, and when I started to talk to them, I realized, like, hey, I'm on your side. That's messed up, because I also come from immigrant parents. So I put myself in their shoes and thought about my mom and my family, and just, yeah.
Wow, it's powerful. So maybe you could say something like, I got started on this path when I was working at a development company. I was 25, and at first I was, just doing my job. And a part of my job required me to go to hearings and, take notes and things like that. And then one day I learned about a project that my company was doing where we had to oust people, senior citizens, people with no citizenship status. And it really struck me deeply because it reminded me of, my own mom. I'm a child of immigrants. And I started talking to these people at these hearings, and I realized, wow, y'all are me and I'm you. I need to get out of this. And so that's when I decided to leave this place and start working on that side of advocacy.
Yes, eventually I want to be able to say it like that. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
will, oh, you're welcome. It will take practice, right? And know that I have been doing this work for going on 11 years now. So obviously that came natural to me, right? I do this coaching with clients a lot. So be at ease and just practice. Just practice. You have the general pieces of the story, right?
Okay.
And you know, if I were to try to understand how the hearing systems work in the city of San Francisco, County of San Francisco, I'd be very confused, and you'd probably be like, oh, well, no, it's this, this, and this, right? So
Yeah,
everyone has an expertise. That was excellent, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for sharing.
thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody else have an origin story that they'd be willing to take a positive risk and share with us if they'd like, and we could workshop it a little bit together? Okay,
I,
that's not. Oh, hi, Rachel.
I. So my love of fashion, I think, was initially subconscious. My mother was Jamaican and my father was Indian, so I was surrounded by these beautiful, bright, stunning colors, saris and kaftans, and I built a love for fashion very early. As soon as I left school, I started at the London College of Fashion, and this is a long, long time ago now. I loved it. I was studying journalism. In my first summer holiday, I thought I'd get a side job before going back to college, and the side job was in a television company, the BBC, and I ended up never going back to fashion.
Hmm.
So now, 40 something years later, I'm returning to my first love
Hmm.
and don't want to let it slip through my fingers this time.
Wonderful.
That's all I've got.
Okay, let's give it up for Rachel first of all, taking positive risk and sharing her story with us. That's excellent. Thank you, Rachel. Let me ask a couple of follow-up questions. You know,
Mm,
you alluded to being surrounded by beautiful colors and saris and kaftans.
mhm.
Is there like a specific, is there a specific like outfit that you remember either your mother or father, your parent, one of your parents wearing that really struck you, that made you
Yes.
fall in love with fashion? Can you tell us about that outfit?
I think my Indian grandmother came over to visit us, and she was just, I'd never seen saris like that before. And I remember she walked through the door and she had dark hair with a beautiful grey streak in it, thick grey streak in her hair, and this beautiful red and pink sari. And ever since then, red and pink has been my favourite clash of colours. I love it. So it was really my grandmother Shearer.
That's wonderful. And if I may ask, how old were you when you saw your grandmother Shira walk through the door with that pink and red sari?
I was 4
You were 4 years old.
because actually
Okay.
my father died when I was 4 as well. So
Okay.
it
Okay.
stands out to me. So it was his mother.
Awesome. 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 All right. So we might say
We
something.
probably don't want to put a death in there, do we? At
No, we
this
don't have
stage.
to. No, we don't have to. I mean, it's powerful. It's a powerful experience. Um, I want to welcome Stacy. Welcome, Stacy. It's nice to have you here. We're just talking about people's origin stories. So take a listen. Okay, so Rachel, we might say something like this. And Rachel, can you tell me where you grew up, what country you grew up in?
I grew up in London in the
In,
UK.
in London? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So you might say something like this. I got started in this path when I grew up in London and I was the child of Jamaican and Indian parents. So as you could probably imagine, I was constantly surrounded by beautiful colors, beautiful saris, beautiful kaftans. And I'll never forget being 4 years old. And my grandmother has come to visit from India. And she walks in wearing this pink and red sari. She had this dark hair with this gray streak in it. And from that moment on, I fell in love with fashion. I went to the London School of Fashion. I began studying there. And, you know, I ended up getting a side job in the summer to pay for school. And that was with the BBC. And that just swept me away. And now I'm back to pursue my love for fashion. Something like that.
Super. With AI now, could you perhaps do that in my voice and I can record it? Take it everywhere with me.
I encourage you to I believe that you could do it and you don't need AI. You know, we are much more powerful than any artificial intelligence could ever be. Remember.
I
Thank
appreciate
you,
your
Rachel.
confidence. You're welcome.
Absolutely. Let's give it up again for Rachel. Sharing her origin story with us. That was powerful, right? So you can see when Rachel started sharing those details with us about her grandma and like the sorry, like we were there. We felt it, right? I know I felt it. I can't speak for the studio audience, but I definitely
I
felt it.
was able to picture it. And when she was like, just like an image came in my head, like with all the details and how she was speaking so passionate about what she was saying.
Yeah, exactly. And an immediate connection starts being built, right? This is how I want y'all to be telling your origin stories. Okay? This is arguably the most important part of your pitch, the tell me about yourself answer. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about this past section of how to answer the question, tell me about yourself? Yes, Grace.
Yes, my question is, my past is a little bit separated from secular and church. And some of my education is through a Christian college. And I don't know if I should include that or not. But it's part of my origin story of how I really got clarity on what path was right for me and what path was for others.
Understood. Well, without knowing the details too much, you could always just say something to the effect of, I went to a school, and at that school, I realized that what I was studying or what I was pursuing there was not for me. And as a result, XYZ happened, and that put me on this path to being a photographer in the name of Mother Earth. So you could talk about it, but you don't have to give all the details per se.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking. All right. Any other questions about the past section before we move on?
I'm not sure if you answered this, but how long should the past section be?
Yeah, I mean, the past section should be the majority of your pitch. So, I mean,
The majority.
it doesn't have to be the specific number. I would just say make sure your entire pitch doesn't go over 90 seconds, right?
Okay.
Because this is the trailer or the preview to the movie that is going to be this conversation that you're going to have with either someone who's interviewing you for a job or someone you're networking with.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So that's the past section. Then the present is exactly this exact phrase. Currently, I am working on my technical skills, portfolio, and doing research to learn more. Currently, I am working on my technical skills, portfolio, and doing research to learn more. What does this mean? This means you are taking classes at City College or taking classes somewhere else to learn, right? Or boning up on your technical skills in some way, shape, or form. You are building a website or working on content for your existing website to showcase your technical competencies to potential employers or potential clients. And lastly, you're going out there and you're networking to do research to learn more about certain elements of your job search goal, your job goal. So you can literally just say this phrase, currently I'm working on my technical skills, portfolio, and doing research to learn more. Just as a reminder, in the pitch, we're not giving the listener everything. We're giving the listener just a little bit of information so that they're intrigued to want to keep talking to us and learn more. Right. So again, this phrase, currently I'm working on my technical skills, portfolio, and doing research to learn more is wonderful and will serve you well. Any questions about that? Okay, awesome. And then the future is where we wrap it up and we bring the listener into our world. We remind the listener why we're excited to be here. And we remind them that they are part of your path or our path because we're speaking with them. So we always start with, that's why I'm excited to be here because, and then blank. That's why I'm excited to be here because blank. And then this blank is going to be filled in based on the context of the situation. So if you were in a job interview, you would say, that's why I'm excited to be here because this would be the next step for me. If you were in a job interview, you would say, that's why I'm excited to be here because this would be the next step for me. If you're in a networking situation and someone asks you to tell a little bit about yourself, you would say, that's why I'm excited to be here because you're helping me learn. That's why I'm excited to be here because you're helping me learn. That's how you're going to speak to someone who is you're doing some networking with. And it all ends with gratitude. It all ends with thank you, right? It's very important to always express deep gratitude to everyone, especially people who are taking some time to connect with you about something. Does anybody have any questions about the future section? Okay, awesome. So altogether, if I were to put together my business section and my party section to build my mullet, it might sound something like this. And let's imagine I was interviewing for a job as a career counselor somewhere, right? Aria, thank you so much for coming in and interviewing with us today. Let's start by having you tell us about yourself. Yes, absolutely. Hi, my name is Aria, and I'm an arts-focused career counselor. And I use tools such as active listening, mindfulness, and data analysis to do this work. And I got started on this path when, in 1989, I was 70 years old. I was in my mom's blue Honda Civic hatchback, and we were listening to 102.7 Kiss FM, which was my favorite radio station at the time. And I was sitting in the front seat belt buckled, my mom's driving, and then all of a sudden, Michael Jackson's Beat It comes on the radio. And I have never heard this song before. And all of a sudden, I just start feeling really great and feeling wonderful. And I start dancing and moving around and wiggling around in the front seat. And my mom kind of like looks over at me and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm having a great time. And from that moment on, I knew I wanted to do something with creativity. My parents are also refugees from Iran. They fled right before the Iran-Iraq war began. So I also knew that I wanted to do something with my life related to service. Lastly, when I graduated from grad school, it took me over a year to find my first job. And then I had to move all the way across the country from California to Maryland and take a low-paying nonprofit job to begin. And through that experience, I felt invisible. And so that experience powers a lot of the empathy that I have for people when they're doing job search. Currently, I'm working on my technical skills, portfolio, and doing research to learn more. And that's why I'm excited to be here, because this would be the next step for me. Thank you. So that's an example of how I would give you my pitch, right? Gave you my name, I gave you what I am, I gave you the tools that I use. That was the business section. Then came to the party section with the intention to build empathy. I told you about my origin story. I told you what I'm currently doing. And I told you why I'm excited to be here. And then I ended with gratitude. What questions can I answer for y'all about anything we've been talking about today in regards to pitch? Okay,
Yes, I
yes,
have a
Grace.
question.
Uh-huh.
Can part of your pitch be like maybe a statement that you have on your LinkedIn page to tie in two pieces? Like, say, for instance, I'm passionate about water, climate, and sustainable design. So when I talk about what you are, I could include.
Yeah, you might say something like, "Hi, my name is Grace, and I'm a photographer with an emphasis on climate. What did you say specifically? Water, climate, and
And,
sustainability
and sustainable design.
and sustainable design." Yeah. Um, maybe you could use a different. Maybe you don't have to name all those words. Maybe you could say something like, "Hi, my name is Grace, and I'm a photographer with an emphasis on the environment, and I'm very eco-positive. I absolutely love climate change. I absolutely love water sustainability and sustainable design." Something like that. You would add it to what you are.
Thank you.
Certainly. Great question. Any other questions, studio audience? Going once, going twice, going three times a lady. All right. Well, thank you all very much. On behalf of City College of San Francisco and the Strong Workforce Program, my name is Arya Zarenkalk, Employment Training Specialist 3 for Arts, Media, Entertainment. I'm super grateful for all of you to take some time and energy to share with me today. And this has been Workforce Wednesday's Pitch Essentials. So thank you again. You all will be receiving all this content in a follow-up email from me, along with a request to fill out a survey to let me know how this workshop went. And as always, I like to close with nourish yourself and others, cause no harm to self and others, and ease the suffering of self and others all the time. Think good, speak good, do good, be good, and you will feel good. Okay. Hope y'all be well.